Guitar tips, just the tips, just for you. Guitar tips. Hello and welcome to Guitar Tips. Welcome to 2016. This is the first tip of the new year. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Adam Levy. I'm your host here. I post a new guitar tip video each and every Friday, even on holidays, as you can see. I hope that you will subscribe. There's a big red button down below. It says subscribe. You click it once and you are subscribed. It's easy to do, and I hope that you will. This week's guitar tip is sponsored by Martin Guitar Strings. Martin. Doesn't say it on this right on the strings, but you can hear it in the sound. The strings that I use are Martin's retro strings. I like them because they don't sound hyped up. There's not a lot of noise or overtones. Some people like noise and overtones, but I like a more pure tone, and that's what the retro strings are about, at least to my ears. That's what they're about. That's what they're about for me. I hope you'll check them out. Thank you, Martin Strings. Okay, this week's tip is your ears aren't going to train themselves. That's right, tippers. Your ears aren't going to train themselves. So, and neither is your dog, by the way. But anyway, so with this tip, this was actually inspired by a comment that one of you wrote on another tip recently and asked if I would talk about ear training a little bit. I made some notes. I have five bullet points that I want to get to, and I'm gonna move pretty quickly here because I know some of my tips can get a little meandering, and I'm going to try and make this one not so long, but certainly there's a lot to talk about, so here we go. First of all, ear training is one of those things that is a little bit like getting in shape. This time of year, people make a lot of New Year's resolutions, and they say, I want to get in shape. But in shape means different things to different people. If you're skinny, it might mean you want to bulk up and put on some muscle. If you're doughy, it might mean you want to slim down. You might want to get stronger. You might want to get more flexible. All of that could be getting in shape. So when we talk about ear training, what is it specifically that you want to achieve? Because the more clear you get with that, the more goal-oriented that you can be in your practice. So do you want to get better at hearing harmonies, complex harmonies on the guitar? Do you want to get better at hearing rhythms? Do you want to get better at hearing melody? For some people, ear training just means you want to get better at tuning the guitar, without an electronic tuner. That's a certain kind of ear training. Another kind of ear training is just feeling connected to what you're playing, so that you're not just running your fingers around, but actually playing the music that you hear in your imagination, in your kind of inner ear. So those are all things that you might want to work on, and you want to get clear with which of those, and it could be more than one of those things, but whatever that you want to work on, so that you can use your practice time effectively. So that's bullet point number one. I got 5 bullets here. One is set your goals and get specific. Number 2, transcribe some music. There's not a much better way to work on your ears than transcribing. And transcribing, if you don't know what that means, just simply means listen to some recorded music and figure out what's going on. And usually you would write it down. There's scribe is part of transcribing. So, scribing is writing stuff down. You don't necessarily have to write down what you're hearing, but I recommend that you do. That doesn't so much connect immediately with ear training. It's figuring out what's on the recording and what it is musically is the ear training part of that. But I always like to write stuff down when I'm figuring stuff out, because then I can come back to it later and really study it and analyze it and understand it better. Anyway, the writing it down or not is optional. But what I would say is start simple. Start with stuff that you can do. Don't start with something that is so far beyond your ears that you just get frustrated and give up. You want to kind of be able to reward yourself by having some successes and build your confidence. And then over time, pick things that are incrementally more challenging. So, for example, if you wanted to figure out some jazz improv stuff, don't start with Pat Martino or John Coltrane or something. It's hard to hear, and maybe start with Louis Armstrong improvising a trumpet solo, or Chet Baker improvising a trumpet solo, or whatever seems easy to you. There's a lot of people watching this, I hope, and so that's a lot of musicians at a lot of different levels. Chet Baker might be easy for some person, might be very difficult for somebody else. You can change the name of whoever is easy for you, and just start there and build up your ears, build up your confidence, and then go from there. You might also want to think about picking things. Let's say you do want to work on some guitar stuff, transcribing guitar. Try to pick records where the guitar player is more exposed, not buried in the mix where there's a lot of stuff going on in the mix. So for example, a solo guitar performance, or something where it's just guitar and bass, or guitar and one other instrument, or guitar and vocal for that matter. So you can really hone in on what the guitar is doing, and then little by little you might again build your ears, build your confidence, and get more adept at figuring out what the guitar is doing when it's buried in a kind of muddy or saturated kind of mix of a lot of things. Okay, so that's bullet point number 2: transcribe. And don't just transcribe guitar. Transcribe bass parts. Transcribe piano parts if you can. Transcribe. If you can't literally transcribe what the drummer's doing, see if you can at least somehow appropriate what the drummer's doing onto the guitar, and really train your ear to focus on different things that are going on, not just guitar, but other things too. Okay, bullet point number 3 is this exercise that I learned from a guitar player named Ken Rosser. And it's basically just playing a 12-bar blues using just 2 notes in whole notes and playing through the changes. So I'm going to do that. And I'll call out the chords as we go, though you wouldn't necessarily do this in your practice routine. 2, 3, 4. I'm in C, so that's a C. Here's F. I'll go back to C. That's F, that's an F9. I'm playing, well, I was playing it. I'll have to talk and play at the same time. That's C. Here's G7. Here's that F9 chord again. That's G and E flat, and then back to C. And that's A and F, implying a G9 chord. 9 and 7. There's no third. You can't always play the third or the root. You only have 2 notes. But the idea is to train your ear to hear what 2-part harmony sounds like, and be able to hear both of those notes and think about where you want to go. You've got 4 beats to get your ear and your fingers to where you want to go. So this is C. I want to go to F. So a close by way to get to F would be to go here. And I really want to hear da, da, and da, 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 da. And then that's again part of the C chord. Now this is C7 sharp 5, F, F minor, C, 7, C. Now I'm playing everything on the B string and the D string, so they're going to mostly be in intervals of sixths of some sort. You could pick any two strings, and you don't have to stay constant. You could do something, much more expansive if you wanted to. But the point is to try to voice lead and get. I can't really do it and talk at the same time. To hear two, you're learning to hear counterpoint, okay, and that's good. Two notes. That's a good thing to focus on. The next bullet, that's bullet point 3. And you could do that in all 12 keys. You could do that on different string sets, different registers, etc. Beyond that, you could do that with bullet point number 4 is just doing kind of a similar thing, but with 4-note chords. So this is C major 7, playing, pretty common voicing, I guess, if you're into jazz. So instead of just thinking of this as just a grip that we've memorized, we want to hear each note. And just spend as much time as you need to with that chord, or it could be any chord. And try and really hear each note as an individual thing. So don't let yourself think of chords as grips. Really focus on each note. This would be most helpful for jazz-oriented people, because in rock you're not going to play major 7 chords and minor 7 flat 5 chords. But assuming you want to learn to hear some more sophisticated harmony, maybe just pick 2 chords. This is a B flat major 7, and this is G minor 7, and so it's kind of neat sound. I just picked those 2 chords. So let's see. You could even leave the bottom note off and just sing it. And you could just practice leaving middle notes out. So I'm going to leave this one out. And then I'm going to leave this note out. And here it is with it in. Without. And then on top, and leave that top note out. And you could pick chords that are farther away and less related. And again, start with what you can do and eventually expand out so that you can hear more complicated kinds of harmonies. I think that's about as much as you need to get into is 4-part harmony. If you can hear 5-note and 6-note harmony, what are you doing watching Guitar Tips? You're a freaking genius. But in the meantime, for the rest of us, work on hearing 4-part harmony and hearing, all different kinds of ways. I'm playing kind of common voicings. You could try more spread out things. You could even try just plopping your fingers down. I don't know. I'm going to just try and just make up something. So I don't know what this is. This is not a chord that's in my vocabulary. So you could try that, just plopping your fingers down and seeing if you can hear that. And then just once you can hear it, maybe see if you can improvise something around it, even though it's kind of a nonsensical chord. Geez, I don't even know quite what to call that. I guess it looks like A flat minor with a D in the bass. So it's kind of out of an A flat blues, so maybe you play that maybe you play this and improvise a bit. I don't know. This is a little bit experimental, and you have to be willing to go there, I guess, to tweak your ears. So this isn't the most methodical way to study ear training. I hope that, nobody was expecting I was going to say, well, here's these 3 steps, and if you follow these 3 steps, you'll have better ears. Really, I think you have to kind of dive into it and find the stuff that interests you, and just chase it down. That's true of whatever you want to work on, but ear training is no different. Somebody else might say, oh no, there's a real specific science to it, and here's what you do, and in 10 weeks you'll have amazing ears. I don't think about it that way. I just think about being curious and focusing on trying to get into it rather than trying to get to the answer. But that's just me, okay? Number 5, the last bullet point, and already I've talked way too long, so I'm going to make this really quick. Besides transcribing, play along with records and try to echo what is being improvised in the moment. So this is, whatever kind of music you're into. You might be into country, you might be into blues, you might be into jazz, you might be into something else. Whatever you're into, put on a record and just try playing along. Either get in the groove with the rhythm section and play rhythm, or if somebody's improvising or playing something melodic on the guitar, or if somebody's singing, use your guitar to try and echo what they're doing. Pretend that you are, an analog delay pedal with, 300 milliseconds, and see how closely you can echo what you've just heard. Because no matter how good you get at doing stuff in the practice room, hopefully ear training would be in the service of making real music with real people and reacting to what you're hearing and trying to hear the big picture of what's going on, as well as all the little individual things that are going on. So you have to learn to hear each instrument that's going on within a group, and you also need to learn to hear the whole thing as a whole, and play accordingly to what's going on. So play along with records, go slow. Ballads are fine, 3-chord songs are fine. It does not have to be anything particularly crazy. Again, you want to build confidence and build your ear muscles or whatever. So the best thing I could say after this whole long rant would be just do a little bit every day. Do 10 minutes of ear training every single day, no matter what. And just see what happens. You could follow any of the exercises I suggested here, or you could make up your own exercises. But whatever you do, do it every day. Do it every day. Practice your ear training every day. And I can guarantee you, if you do that, it will get better. So get specific about what you want. Do it every day. Work on different aspects of things. And start simple. Build, build, build. Get better. And then there you go. So I hope you found this helpful. It was interesting for me to think about it. I want to work on my own ears some more now. So thanks for suggesting this. And if you, watching this, have some ideas for things that you'd like me to tip about, or just anything in particular that you're frustrated by or challenged by or whatever, let me know, and let's see if we can tip it out. I'm Adam Levy. This is Guitar Tips. Stay tuned and take good care.